Okay, so now we've created our exclude element state and include element state within our element connections recording, and also our user code module that contains the function is included in our recording. No, it's our user code collection. Okay, so there it is, our user code collection. Okay, so we have our enable checkbox, disable checkbox. It's currently included in our element connections project, but that means we can only use it within this project. But ticking or enabling and disabling a checkbox is a general method. You could use it anywhere within Data Miner Cube. You could use it probably in other applications too. So it's a very reusable method we've got here. We've passed the item info, so we can reuse it on any kind of checkbox we pass to it. So instead of keeping this in our element connections project, it's best to move it to our Data Miner Cube library where we can reuse it. So let's take a look in the code modules. And I think this is probably in the Data Miner Cube operations. So as you can see, someone already created these two methods here. So there is already an enable checkbox and a disable checkbox. Let's do a quick comparison. Let's see if I can get these windows next to each other. Okay, so try to enable checkbox. It's using host local and current is doing pretty much the same. So no issue there. It's finding checkbox with the absolute path. Here we have a timeout of 10 seconds, but that's okay. If it's checked, here we are using a slightly different approach. So it's first moving the mouse to the checkbox and then using mouse.click. But that's fine, probably because it's the clicking on the item did not always work for some items. And then it's the same. So typically we would move our methods into this Data Miner Cube operations file, but now there are already existing ones. And our include element state and exclude element state, we can also move them to the general library. Okay, I'm gonna close this one off. Okay, so include element state and exclude element state. I'm going to, I can only select one at a time here. Move it into my other elements connections recordings. Okay, take a look at these methods. It's using the disable checkbox. Going to swap that out for the existing one. So go to user code, select from library. I can see here in my Data Miner Cube operations, I also have a disabled checkbox. Okay, so let's confirm that one. drag in the element state checkbox and remove the one you've created previously. Okay, do the same with the include. So add new action, user code, select from library, and here we're going to enable the checkbox. Okay, again we can select the previous action, and then our repo browser here will automatically highlight the items that are used, so that's quite handy. We can just drag it back on and remove the first bit. Okay, so let's save these. And then I can also, if I want to clean up, remove my user code module in my element connections project. No, not the user code collection. Okay, so then we have made our checkbox methods reusable in every recording. Okay, now if we want to reuse an already existing function, we've done this a few times already. So in our data miner cube library, there's a folder called code modules. This is kind of a mistake we made when first setting up the project, and we don't want to change anymore to avoid confusion. But in fact, the code modules folder here contains both code modules and code collections. So if you're setting up a new project, I would advise you to create two folders, one for code modules and one for code collections, or you could even do it differently and join the code modules and recording modules within the same folder, because all of those are draggable immediately onto your test, and the code collections you have to add the code in a recording somewhere. Okay, so we have several here: the alarm console functions, close all open cards, so that's a code module, so you can drag that one immediately onto your test. And then we have a couple here, so a couple with working with local variables and so on. The ones containing functions is the alarm console functions, data miner cube operations, and Windows operations. And then we have an additional folder with the helper methods, which contains some stuff for alarm console and some additional tools. And if you want to use one of these, the easiest way is just whenever you're in a recording, right click, go to user code, select from library, and then you can see all of the methods in the library. I'm not going to go over them one by one. You can read through them when you're checking the project. So if you're browsing through existing code and you're noticing things like, I don't know what this is, like for example, in this case I'm browsing through my alarm console functions and I see some alarm objects here and I don't know what they are. But in Ranorex Studio, you can use Control Enter to navigate to the item. Okay, or you can do it from the right-click menu, and then it will take you to the definition of, in this case, the alarm class. So that's very similar to the functionality of the F12 button in Visual Studio. Okay, so we've seen at how we can work with items from our Visual tree in custom code. Now let's take a look at how we can use variables. So I'll open up the variable actions code collection. So we have a couple of things here. So we can use, for example, this setCase variable method. It's setting a variable name, and it's accepting a variable name and value to set. So you will notice that everything is defined as string. That's because it's also always stored as string. So every variable, whether it's a global variable or local variable, will always be stored as string. And so, for example, if you have a numeric value that you want to increment, I think I have that here somewhere. No, it's in the increment local variable. So when we're looking at the increment local variable recording, yeah, so here we can see we're taking in two test case variable or two variables. So this is a module, and module can also be linked to a variable by using the test variable modifier. I think you can right click. So if you right click, you can say insert new module variable. And important to know is that variables are always read in at the start of a recording or at the start of a module, so you cannot change them or read them again if you change them intermediately. So that's why I have this in a code module. If we do it in a code collection, and then use that in the recording, the next step in the recording will not read the variable correctly. So it's possible that in some cases you'll have to split up the recordings to handle variables correctly. And so here I'm setting the variable to a offset. So I have two variables that are read in. One is the actual name of the variable, the second is the offset. So I'm parsing both to integer values, and then I'm storing this in the variable again. So everything is stored in strings, and you have to if it's a numeric value that you want to add or do some kind of mathematical operations with, you have to first convert them to integers or doubles before you do the math on them.